before I start this video, I'd like to mention this is more of a throwback video than anything else at this point, because this is reflecting on a video I made during the Medicafe days. What I'm seeing is that if there's a certain app I downloaded, it's the Crash Bandicoot Nitro 3D app, and I'm seeing if that app still exists this very day. In truth, it probably does, but I want to see it for myself. So I'm making this video. Okay, from years ago, I did this on a second generation touch with iOS, probably like 2 or 3 or something. I don't remember, but that has 4.2.1 on it now. So, it's actually the newest version it's ever running, and the power button's broken. Plus, it doesn't run a lot of apps anymore I want to, so I basically upgraded because it was broken, and it was basically done for. So I got a 5th Gen 32 gig for Christmas last year. Great iPod, and it doesn't have any problems yet. I don't think it will for several years. It also runs iOS 8, by the way, not iOS 7. I almost got one with iOS 6, but that was at Walmart, and that was sitting around for a while, and this was on sale. iOS 6 was not worth the discount. So I got iOS 8. And yeah, enough rambling, we're going to see if this app still exists on this iPod today. But first, I gotta put the video in this video so you can see what the original video was like. I have to put the whole thing in there, unfortunately. I wanted to cut it, but I can't. It's just something with this editor that I can't do it with. So, yeah. You're just going to have to deal with it, unfortunately. If you want to skip that part, then feel free. I don't care, nor will I get offended. And I'll put a link in the video description of this video I clipped. This is my own works. It's not from somebody else. So if you think that it's someone else's because I stole it, you're entirely wrong. Because I got the same iPod I used years ago out to prove it. I only point this out because I sounded high as shit back then. So, I don't want you to think that I stole the video for that reason, because I sound totally different than I did back then. And let's be honest here, that was pre-puberty, so of course I was going to sound high as shit. I wasn't also high on my Cheech and Chong that day. I didn't even listen to that stuff back then, or I know who Cheech and Chong was at the time. So that's not the reason to. I just sounded high as shit because of puberty. Or pre-puberty, wherever it was. Just pointing that out ahead of time before you watch this if you think that I was high as fuck or something.
Today, I'm going to be reviewing Crash Kart. This game actually uses the accelerometer in your iPhone or iPod Touch. And you must have the first or second generation iPod Touch to make this work. And if you have the first generation iPhone or first generation iTouch, you could actually get the update, and then you could get the software, the App Store. Now, the first generation was restricted by the manufacturer, Apple, and you had to jailbreak to get the games. As you could see, I'm using my accelerometer to control this game. As you guess, whoever developed it programmed it. There's still power-ups in this game, but you could easily turn that off if you want. Please note, you can drop your iPod if you play this game, so I definitely recommend the rubber jacket. You can get this from on eBay. But beware of these blocks. That's exactly why you need to beware of these dang blocks. That's the teleporter. That's actually a new game cheat, so that's the way you get people to buy the iPod Touch. Alright, see.
Okay, now we got that part of the way. Let's take a look at if this app still exists. If this looks like shit, I apologize, but I had to do it to make it work on this camera because this is a point-and-shoot camera, and apparently they don't like bright screens because they overexpose like all hell. So I've got to dim it somewhat. Oh, would you look at that? Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 3D still exists, and it's still $3. Now let's see what if they updated the version as of late, if it needs anything newer than when it was new. Same version and everything. Wow. So this hasn't changed a damn thing, and it's still version 1. So I guess they got it right the first time, instead of screwing it up 50 times and making 10 patches. And then leaving the other 40 bugs alone. Which is what many games do these days. So props to them for not screwing up the first time and getting it right. Now they also released this back then too. Same thing. Version 1.5, so I had some minor bugs. But only needs 2.1 or later. So they're basically the damn near original games, if not the originals. So yeah, you can still get this game today. But there's also copycats games with in-app purchases and shit. Surprise, surprise. That kind of try to copy the Crash Bandicoot experience from years ago. Because that game was massively successful, and then the in-app purchases bullshit came into play. Yeah, this came out in 2013 when it was really an all-time high. So yeah, you can still get this game in its original form to this very day. And yeah, no in-app purchases because you pay for the game up front and not in-app purchases like they do in games like The Sims Free Play, where you complete the Chinese New Year mission and then guess what? You have access to the Chinese suit, but guess what they make you do? You gotta pay 60 lifestyle points for it, apparently. And that's enough. I probably have to spill your wallet to get it. Yeah. Not cool. That's how bad free-to-play has gotten, so seeing stuff like this is actually a breath of fresh air. Because back then they weren't worried about in-app purchases. They just wanted to make the game good and not suck and worry about the in-app purchases. So yeah, video's over. I rambled on long enough about this. You can still get the game this very day, surprisingly. I'm surprised it didn't convert it to in-app purchases. That's the even crazier part.